Hey, how's it going? I'm back. I'm in a new place. It's actually a laundry, if you can believe that. I know. You're inspired. I'm inspired too. It's what I've always wanted. Yeah, have a look at that. No, but I actually am kind of inspired to make some videos for my channel. That's not completely dead yet somehow. And today's one is going over something that was definitely one of my biggest eureka moments, I guess, when I was learning to make electronic music. And it's definitely something that a lot of people can sort of overlook if it's not sort of shown to them or taught to them. It's not something that's naturally on people's radar, I guess. So what could I be talking about? It's not some hyper-specific mixing technique or VST that you need or anything like that. What I'm actually talking about is movement. And I can't really overstate how important it is that your tracks have movement. It's basically what makes music music in a way. And once you've learnt the basics of your DAW or, music theory or whatever it might be, the next thing on your list should probably be learning to create movement in your music. And it's almost like a separate skill all in itself, really. Like, you need to put time in to practice it, and over time you get better at it. But once you do, your music is honestly, it's going to transform. It's going to be so different, especially if you're just starting out and you're wondering why your music sounds unprofessional, or sort of, it sounds like a beginner made it. And there's so many people trying to sell you things, trying to say that you just need like a new MIDI pack to sound professional, or all the different sort of snake oil VST plugins. Even the good VST plugins, even the ones that are really, really good at what they do, they're not going to make you sound professional. They're just going to make what you're already making a little bit more polished. They can help with certain workflow things, but if you don't have movement in your tracks, it's not going to sound professional. There's just no way around that. So this is an essential thing to be focusing on, in my opinion. And this isn't just a electronic music thing. This is like all genres of music, to be honest. Although with electronic music, you're kind of set up to fail in a way, because you have to build your whole house from scratch, if that makes sense. Like with other genres of music, you have the luxury of being able to record a real person playing a real instrument, and so much of the movement and musicality and stuff like that is just captured through their performance, and you don't have to worry about adding that in later. In fact, if you did, then that would probably be a pretty bad musician, right? And yeah, this is probably why electronic music gets a bad reputation sometimes, I guess, because you're telling the computer what to do, right? If you don't tell it to be musical and to have movement, it's not going to do that. It's just doing what it's told. You've got to be hyper specific with what you want. And yeah, I don't blame other people for thinking that electronic music lacks emotion or musicality and stuff like that. Like, it definitely can if it's done badly. And a lot of it is, to be honest. It's something that is so easily accessible by so many people, but it's also something that is one of the hardest things to really master. And I'm not saying it's easy to learn an instrument, but if you think about it, like, once you practice, once you learn the guitar or whatever, you become a good guitar player. You're a good guitar player. All you have to do from that point is pick up the guitar and play what you've learnt, and it sounds good. But like, if you think about a synth patch, when you load up Serum or Operator or whatever it is, and you want to make a cool new sound, you have to make it from scratch every time, unless you're dragging in pre-made patches, obviously. Think about that. Like, imagine if when you picked up a guitar, you had to build it from scratch every time. That would be so annoying. Like, what do you start with in Serum, right? You start with just the basic shapes, maybe a saw wave. If you want some decay, you have to dial it in. If you want release, you have to dial it in. You have to dial in the exact amount of attack you want. And then even then, every note is going to sound exactly the same. So you have to figure out ways of making it feel more organic. So maybe you map the velocity to a filter cutoff or something like that. Or maybe randomize different things to make it sound more human. There's all sorts of different ways of doing it, but it's a lot of work, obviously. And when you pick up a guitar or sit down at a piano, you don't have to do any of that, right? And the way you push the keys or pick the strings, it's going to sound different if you pick them at different points on the string, or even just like the humidity that day, right, is going to change how the guitar sounds. Alrighty, so after that massive rant, we're finally in Ableton, and I've drafted together this simple little idea. And maybe you've had this experience before where you have an idea, you chuck it in the MIDI roll in Ableton, you make a little drum beat and a bass line to go with it, and then you play it back, trying to figure out what to do next. You play it back at another 1,000 times, and it starts sounding really stale and boring, and maybe you start thinking maybe it's just a bad idea, or maybe you're just bad at music. Well, you're probably not that bad at music, and the idea is probably not that bad either, especially if you were initially inspired by it. And usually the problem is usually quite simple, really. It's you've told the computer what to play, but you haven't really told it how to play it, right? And of course, a simple chord progression and a drum beat that's just programmed into the MIDI roll with nothing else really happening is going to sound really boring and stale. It sounds obvious, but like so many people forget this, I feel like. So this is my idea. It's just a really simple little chord progression with a garagey kind of beat and bass line to go with it. There's nothing like jumping out at me that's wrong, right? It just sounds really kind of boring. There's no movement going on at all, right? It kind of almost sounds like a chiptune style thing, which could be fine for like if this was going in a old school style like indie game or something, it would probably be all right. But like if this is popping up on a Spotify playlist, it's not really going to get you hyped up to listen to it, right? And the first thing I really want to deal with are these drums here. If we listen to them, they're right. They're very on the grid and very robotic sounding, right? So one thing I really like to do, especially with this kind of beat, is to add some swing, some groove. And you can do that with Live's groove system, but I've never really gelled with it. Like the workflow isn't really done it for me for some reason. So I've found this new Max for Live device that works with Live 12's Max like MIDI clip thing, where it just kind of slots in here, and it's like really super handy because all you need to do is highlight some MIDI and change the swing percentage. So if I start dragging this up, so much better already, right? Way better. And we can do the same with the bass line. We highlight them all and click transform. It's just grooving so much harder now. And I'm just going to copy those over. And like, if you think about it, swing is a type of movement, right? Because you're actively changing where the beat is in a way. The next thing I want to deal with is these chords, obviously. So yeah, it's super, super boring. Maybe we can add some movement by messing with the envelopes. Maybe this main envelope to begin with. Maybe we'll just automate this attack in and out over time. Something like this. So now instead of it being super robotic, it's kind of changing over time. Maybe we'll change this to a saw wave as well, just so we've got more to kind of work with. We can do the same with the decay, maybe just not quite as much. Let's add some more drift to this, I guess. Drift is always going to add some more movement, right? Because you're just changing how much those voices are wandering in pitch. Maybe we'll add oscillator 2. Up an octave. Bring the volume down a little bit. And maybe we can chuck an LFO. We'll use the internal LFO for the detune if we can. I'm not sure if you can do that with drift actually. Maybe you can't. And I can't be bothered trying to figure it out. So I'll just start with the automation again. Getting kind of that subtle tape pitch effect. Just bear with me, please, because my mouse is being really annoying. I'm not sure if it's a glitch with Ableton or my mouse in particular, but it's really, really finicky to input some automation. Now, obviously, the next thing we could try is the filter. Okay, that was a bit too detuned, so I'm going to add a lane for each envelope. And where was it? Yeah. What is going on with my mouse? It's so annoying. You know what it was? It was my dongle was too far away from my mouse. That was weird. Okay, I fixed it, I think. Way too much. Nice. Frequency mod for the filter. Maybe we can use the internal LFO for that. LFO, yes please. And yeah, we'll keep it on max just so we can dial in the rate. So we've got this LFO moving the cutoff of the filter, so now we can automate it on top of that, just to add some extra source. So I'm constantly playing everything back as I tweak things. And maybe the resonance as well. And the high pass, because why not? Cool. And a really useful thing to try as well is adding delays. They can add some really interesting movement sometimes. Ping pong. Maybe even a reverb for the delay too. So much better already. Now how about this bass line here? Now we've used operator, which means we can automate the volume of each oscillator separately, I guess. So why don't we try that? Maybe instead of automating it, we can use like the velocity. So maybe we'll drag expression control, which is really handy for modulating things based on velocity. So we've got 5 separate modulation sources, I guess. This first one is velocity, but you can change each of them to whatever you want. We'll use this velocity one for now. And this little circle here is basically our velocity. So what I might do to begin with is just to draw a bunch of random velocities in. So I'm going to just tap B for pencil. B for pencil. Makes a lot of sense. Maybe pencil does start with B. Maybe Ableton's onto something. Maybe I've been pronouncing it wrong this whole time. Okay. Now our sound hasn't changed at all because we have nothing internally in operator mapped to velocity at the moment. But you can see this circle is changing now if I just loop this first clip. And maybe we'll map this to this second oscillator here. So you can see each of these oscillators are tuned to different harmonic ratios. And we can change this curve as well. And we'll change the second source to velocity as well. And map this to our second, or our third oscillator, I guess. So this bottom oscillator is acting as our sub, so I'm not going to really mess around with that too much. Maybe we can flip this one, so it's doing the opposite. Does that sound good? Yeah, sounds nice, I guess. And maybe we'll map another velocity to something else. A good one to try is the feedback, which is basically like a self FM for each oscillator. So let's see what it sounds like on each. That sounds pretty cool. That's cool too. So maybe we'll map the velocity to the feedback of the second oscillator on this one. Change the curve like this. So now we've got separate curves for each velocity mapping at the moment. And I really want to change this feedback over time as well for this third oscillator. But maybe I'll just use an external LFO for that. I'm not sure you can map the LFO with an operator to feedback. OSC feedback, you can, but it's for every oscillator, I think, which is not what we want. So let's map this to feedback. That is pretty sick, to be honest. We'll change it to sync up with our transport and maybe do it like every 1.5 bars. Yeah, that's cool. I'll change our depth down a bit and bring the offset up. That is pretty sweet. And I'm just going to copy this over so our velocities are changing over the whole 16 bars or whatever it is. And I've just basically put in some random velocities and it's still sounding pretty good, so I might just leave it. But you could mess around with that and get it perfect if you really wanted to. That sounded pretty cool. One thing I really love doing as well with operator is using the spread. Some really cool width happening. Basically, if you don't know what spread does, is it doubles each oscillator and detunes each pair slightly and puts each one in the left and then the right channels, so you get some really cool width going on. But we don't really want that with our sub oscillator, I guess, and this is gonna do it equally to each oscillator, but it sounds really nice on the high end. So what we can do is maybe just drag a utility on and then mono the bass. That sounds so cool. Now I feel like we need to do some more with the drums here. The first thing I would try doing is changing the velocities of especially the hats and stuff. You generally don't want to mess around too much with the velocities of like your main kick and snare. I mean, you can if there's ghost notes and stuff like that, obviously. But they're really your foundation. So what I'm going to do is just dial in some rough velocities for these hats. Yep, that's way better. Now what we can do as well is start deleting little sections to just give some variety, I guess. So maybe we'll get rid of this kick. on this very last one, why don't we get rid of the kick and the hats? And this last little bass note too. Yeah, way better. Highlight that all, duplicate it out. Now what I think we need is probably like some extra element that comes in at the halfway point here. So maybe what I can try is copy these chords down, and maybe we'll add like an ARP kind of thing. So I'll just drag arpeggiator onto these chords, and maybe I'll just use wavetable. And we'll do 16ths. So yeah, I guess we can start by modulating the wavetable position. So we'll use LFO1, I guess. Go on the matrix, oscillator 1 position, LFO1. If we do something like that, what I was really thinking though is to re-trigger off and bring the rate down a bit. Change the shape as well. Bring the amount down. I want to start at a different point as well, so maybe we can add another oscillator as well. An octave up, probably. We'll add a envelope to this filter. Envelope 2, was it? 3. Envelope 3, filter frequency. And we'll use LFO2 to modulate the frequency over time as well. So actually, what might be cool is instead of modulating the filter's frequency, we can modulate the envelope's amount, whatever this one is. Is this a modulatable parameter? Let's find out, I guess. It is. Env3 peak. Cool. bring that rate down as well. And now we'll just automate this resolution. There's no way I just called it resolution. Holy shit, it's the resonance, sorry. Change this filter type as well. Alrighty, how's that sounding in the context of everything? And I might add some filtering after the fact here too. Maybe just a low and a high pass. It's just movement on top of movement on top of movement is the name of the game. One thing we haven't done actually is given our arpeggiator some swing, which we can do it right here. Yeah, it's not really matching up perfectly with the groove we already have, so I guess what we can do is put it back on straight, add another MIDI track, and then record, enable that. And change the output of this one to... I'll change the input of this one rather to 3 wavetable and start recording. Oops. Now all we have to do is drag this one up the top, delete our arpeggiator, and then we can just use our swing device here to match our groove perfectly, and hopefully this should sound decent. That's way better. I might just put this on mono mode as well, so we don't have overlapping notes. Because what I'm about to do is add maybe like a filter delay. And one thing I really like doing with this is like dialing in a nice center delay. And then with the left and right ones, we drag the filter up a little bit and then just put it on the same delay setting, but just offset it slightly, and then you get some really nice, interesting stereo stuff happening. I might just drag these filters up slightly, especially this low pass. Just getting a bit dark in places. And a good thing to do, I guess, is to like slowly introduce things. So maybe we'll just drag the last half of this first bar to the before the first one starts, and automate this filter cutoff upwards as it comes in. Something like that. Actually, this is a bit long, isn't it? So I might just get rid of these and drag all of this over like this. Nice. It can be a really good idea to go back and sort of look at what you did previously and see if there's anything you can feel like tweaking with fresh ears and fresh eyes and stuff like that. So what about if we go back to this synth? That sounds really cool. Maybe a bit too much. Maybe we'll just do a little subtle. Whoa. This sounds way better on unison mode, in my opinion. And we could modify the unison amount. That'd be really cool. It's little things like this that sometimes you don't think about on your first time around. So this is like a really good solid bass idea for a track now. Definitely more inspiring than what we started off with, for sure. I guess it's just missing like an intro, and then it will be like a fully fleshed out idea for a song, I guess. So usually what I do for intros, at least as a starting point, is just to drag one of the elements we already have to the start, albeit maybe with a different synth or something like that. So Maybe we can make a new MIDI track and then drag these chords down, and maybe we'll use wavetable again. Find an interesting wavetable. Wavetables would be a starting point. Maybe we can bring this filter position down as we bring the filter up. That might be an interesting idea. Longer period here. Can be really tempting sometimes to like drag intros out forever and ever and ever, but try not to do that. Well, I try not to anyways. I might bring this up a bit and then just add a little curve to it, something like this. Maybe add some unison as well. It's always a good idea. And modulate this unison amount to, when it's fully filtered, we'll make it super detuned because it won't be as harsh, and we'll just bring the detune down slowly maybe. Probably going to be way too loud. And what we can do as well is kind of swoop this filter towards the end. So we'll drag this back a bit and then sort of do something like that. Bring the resonance up with that too. So listen. That is honestly pretty sweet now. I can definitely see myself iterating more and adding new sections and stuff like that. It's a much more inspiring piece of music to listen to now. In fact, why don't we make another section now, I guess. So it sounds pretty cool when it loops back around. So maybe we'll just duplicate these chords out again. And maybe we'll change the beat up slightly. The bass line's pretty solid. Maybe we'll put the snare on. Something like that. Although it's not going to be as garagey anymore, is it? But I guess we can try it out. Don't be afraid to try, I guess. That's not too bad. Little halftime kind of thing. need to delete some more kicks too. Maybe we'll bring these open hats down as well. Much more of a chill kind of feel. Copy those over. Now we need something for this transition, I guess. We need something to happen right before it transitions into this new section. And now the downside of this sort of this workflow, if you want to call it that, I guess, is that it's a lot of work, right? We've got so many automation lanes everywhere, right? And it's a lot of work to do that all the time. Now the cool thing is with Live 12, they've added a little tiny update to one of the devices, which makes it possible to save automation or modulation into a rack, which is kind of interesting when you put it like that. But it's really, really handy, especially if you find yourself doing the same sort of things over and over again. You don't want to be messing around with automation lanes all the time. What that thing is the shaper device. So this little device down here, if you look really, really carefully, they've added this little manual toggle, which lets you manually cycle through your modulation, which is so insanely game changing. So you can basically use this as like a remap device. Like if you've ever used phase plant or whatever, there's the remap modulator, which is basically functions the same way as this now. I might put the shaper on my master maybe, or maybe just I'll make a group and I'll put shaper on there. I'll just make a really, really simple rack here so you can see how it works. I might drag on a hybrid reverb and EQ. So we want to kind of drag this dry wet up. So how you normally would do that is make a new automation lane and drag it up like this, right? But what we can do instead is do that same sort of shape within our shaper here. Something like that. Put it on manual mode. Map it to the dry wet. And now our manual knob is going to be doing that same exact thing, right? We can drag this. Oh, we can put this on unipolar mode as well. Make it go to 100%. So now we can automate this manual knob, which is kind of like an extra step, right? But the benefit of this is you can add more shapers. So we can duplicate this out. And we can add this next one to the EQ. So maybe we'll do high pass kind of thing. So I want it to end. Drag this down, I guess. Probably want it to finish about there. And you can also toggle between modulation and remote mode. So if you want to actually see visually what the EQ is doing, you can change it to remote mode. So like that, and then maybe also we'll duplicate it again and add low pass, do it reversed. So these are all going in different directions now, right? We probably want to finish somewhere around it is a little bit finicky. It always likes to add new. You can also do the same thing just by tweaking the percentage values, I guess. So you might be able to guess where I'm going with this now. We can add all of these shapers to a group and map the manuals to a single macro. And now we have one knob that's doing all of those different movements. Which is really, really handy, obviously. Because now you can save this as a rack and you can just drag this on, and then you just have to automate one knob and you don't have to worry about all the separate things going on. The tidier way to do this, I guess, is to add the other shapers to a parallel chain. And then it's just a little bit tidier to look at. So you've just got 3 shapers here. But yeah, what you'd want to do, I guess, so you don't blow your speakers up, is turn all of them down, or just mute them, apart from one. And then what we can do is drag our effects onto the one that's not muted. Now we can automate this. So we need that to sort of do something like this. How's it going to sound? Over the course of the whole file. So yeah, you could save this rack and then just drag it on and then just automate the one knob. And just to showcase the power of this kind of thing, I've made a bunch of my own ones, and they're all quite, well, they're varying in like complexity, I guess, but some of them are quite insane. Let's have a look. Just made a rack called Washouts. And I made like a clone of the sort of, what is it called? Endless Smile. Yeah, Endless Smile, is that what the VST is called? But yeah, if you buy that plugin, it's basically just this. And that's a similar thing to what we just did, I think, isn't it? Let's have a look. We've got 2 shapers, and it's just a high pass and a relay with a high boost. And what's this one here? Upshift. Give them all kind of stupid names. So this is a bit more complicated. Pretty sick, honestly. So that's like a spectral time and stuff. I'm not sure. There's quite a few shapers in this one, I think. Yeah, like 5 different shapers. What's this? Wonder what that EQ is doing. It's a phaser type thing. This is all just the same exact idea, by the way. It's just the things I'm doing within the rack are a bit more complicated. But you don't need to worry about that, right? Because it's already saved. All that complexity is already worked out for you. That's a pretty cool one. What's going on there? Right, it's like a shepherd filter type thing. And what I might do actually is I'm going to give you guys half of these for free, and then I'm going to save like the other half just for my Patreon members. So if you don't know, I upload to Patreon sometimes. It's been a little bit sporadic lately, but I'm going to try add some more content on there for you guys. And I'm going to try add more little sort of benefits as just like a thank you to like for supporting me and stuff like that. So if you do want to support me, I'm going to put my patrons' names on screen right now, and I just want to thank them because I probably wouldn't be making this video right now if I didn't have the support from you guys. So thank you. So if you do want to support me and you want all of these extra little racks as well, head over there and have a look. So yeah, I'll just showcase a few more of these as well. So there's some really funny names. Trim below. Pretty sweet. More of a rhythmic kind of thing. Negator, this is really cool. This has got a cool little trick in there as well. Nasty. It's probably better for like more aggressive kind of genres. So what's happening in here is a little trick with Ableton's Raw. I used to do this kind of thing with Melder's Wave Shaper, but what you can do is if you're on like the rectify mode, you can modulate the bias and the frequency, and you can slowly like suck out more and more information, but it's not losing any volume, right? And it's just getting more and more distorted. So yeah, I'll add a link in the description for the first 10 of these. Yeah, you guys can go crazy, and then the 11 to 20 will be on Patreon. What's this one here? Cryostasis. That's pretty sweet. I just realized I got like sun shining on my face, which is gonna look a little bit funny. Oh well, you just have to deal with it, I guess. What's this one? Postmodern. That's pretty sweet. Yeah, and there's a few ones that I haven't shown. I guess you just have to download it and try them out to find out how they sound. What about some of these other ones? Formulator, what does that sound like? It's been a while since I've actually made these, so I have actually no clue what this is going to sound like. Pretty cool. Corrode. Dang, that's pretty crazy. Singularity, I remember this one being one of my favorites. Yeah, that's crazy. Maybe not for this song, but yeah, it's pretty nutty. This one's like a really glitchy kind of thing, I think. I can't remember how I made I can't remember how I made that glitchy kind of sound. Oh, beat repeat, that makes sense. The downside to this, I guess, is now that if you want to tweak a specific thing, like you can't just hit A and like figure out which one it is and then just go in and tweak it a little bit. You have to kind of go into the rack, figure out what's modulating what, and then find the shaper that's mapped to the parameter you want to change, and then actually change it in the shaper and stuff. So it's a little bit more cumbersome in that way. But yeah, the benefits, I guess, definitely outweigh the downsides, in my opinion, especially if it's something like this where it's just, you just want to transition and you don't know what necessarily exactly what you want, but you just want to drag something on and automate one knob and then it's done. You don't need to experiment with a million different effects and stuff to finally figure something out that you like. And so like, I would love if you guys sat down now and made your own racks like this. Maybe it's not even something specifically targeted towards transitions and stuff, but just crazy little like effects that generate some like interesting movement, even if it's just subtle stuff. Like if you do that, I'll definitely love to see what you make as well. So hop over to my Discord, which I'll link in the description, and you can share your racks and stuff there. So I really hope this video has been informative and fun, and if it's helped you in any way, that's amazing. Drop a comment down below, subscribe if you want to. That would be a massive help. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video.